All right, you guys, today we're going to be converting my Sync 3 8-inch screen to a 12-inch Sync 4 screen. Now, we are doing this with a FordSync4.com kit, and this is everything that you can expect to come in the kit. Now, a lot of these parts are OEM Ford, and then about the other half of them are custom-made parts. So, in order to get this kit, the ones just like this, you're going to have to buy it from FordSync4 because they custom make these bezels and these ones over here and the wiring harnesses. But coming down here, this is the adapter plate. Now basically it's the new bezel. It'll match your Ford Silver perfectly. And what it does is it retains all of your buttons up here. You get a new 12-inch screen, new vents, your DC or your 120 and your 12 volt, and then your 4-wheel drive switch along with new audio controls out of a new Ford here. And then coming up to here, you have the new 12-inch screen along with this custom steel bracket. Now what this does is it bolts into where your old DVD drive was down here, and then it bolts into the top, and then that is kind of the framework for everything else to go onto it. Now coming over here, you have the lower panels. This goes around your center console here. This is the driver's side and passenger side. And right here, you have your trailer brake control, and then if you have a trailer backup assist, that would go right here. And then coming down to here, we have our new vents. And this little plate, I'll show you guys what it does. But basically, this plate has these 3 spots on the bottom here, and it drops from the factory down just a little bit so that that lines up perfectly. Then you have the computer. This is an OEM Ford computer for a Sync 4 system, and then they custom software it so that it can go and adapt to your truck. Right here, you have the 3 wiring harnesses that you'll have to use. And then you have your new controls here. And if your truck's capable of it, you'll have your heated seats, heated steering wheel, cooled seats, everything there, along with your audio controls. This is the lower bezel here. This is what those HVAC controls go into. Coming over here, this is not included in the kit, but I bought it and I trimmed a little bit off, as you can see. But basically, I bought this guy off eBay for 20 bucks. That will replace this coin holder. And then you will just have, if you did have a trailer backup, you would normally have that knob. But now it'll just be not a blank spot. So coming over here, you have an OBD2 to USB port. And this is so if there's any difficulties with the programming on these guys or whatever, they are remotely able to access your computer, FordSync4 can, and then they can fix anything that you have wrong over the computer. Right here, you have some miscellaneous bolts, and right here, you have some plastic pry tools. So let's get into installing this. All right, now we're over at the truck now. And as you can see, it's just a King Ranch F250 with the center console. Now the first thing you're gonna wanna do is come down here and pull off the plate that's here. I already took it off. And then you look down into right up there and there's a bolt. And then you have one right in here and then one in the back, I believe. And it's the same on the other side except for the little plate up there has like an 8mm screw on the front that you have to take off before you can pull that plate. But once you take all those off, your center console will kind of lift up and back, and then you'll have access to taking these off and everything up here. So I'm gonna get that slid back, and then we will start disassembling the rest of this. All right, now looking down in here, you can see that we've now slid this back, and that gives us access to the front of these. So as you can see, these guys go into there, so you gotta pull that back in order to get these panels off to fit the new ones. Now the first thing, once you get your center console slid back, is you want to make sure you disconnect both your batteries or just one depending on what your truck has. And that way when you're unplugging modules and plugging stuff back in, nothing shorts out or does anything weird. And as soon as you get everything put back together, hook up the battery and you should be good to go. So the first thing you're going to do is grab a plastic pry tool that came with it, and there's a speaker grill up here, and all you're going to do is get underneath the side of it, pop it up. There's one tab on each corner. You just kind of jimmy it in there, pop it out. Pretty simple. Then we're gonna take a 7mm here, and there's 2 bolts at the very front, 2 little guys. Take those out, set them aside, and almost all the screws, I think there's about 2 different sizes screws in this whole front, so you don't have to worry too much about getting them mixed up. What you're gonna do next is there's 3 clips right here, and all you're going to do is get your plastic pry tool in there, pop it out like that. And then you are going to, in my case, I have a USB-C cord coming through here. So I'm gonna take that out quick. And then you have, depending on your truck, you will have a speaker right here. You just grip the back of it, pop it out, you can set this guy aside. Next up, you have 2 more 7mm screws right here. So you're going to remove those 2. And then we're going to start doing some pulling. Now that you have these 2 screws out right here, basically this whole center part is going to come out. Just be careful not to scratch down here when you pull it out. You're just going to go up slightly and then pull it back. And it uses a good amount of force, but once you get it free up here, make sure you don't hit this screen because it's still valuable even if you're replacing it. And you're just going to come down here, maybe get a little plastic pry tool in there. Be careful not to hit any wires or anything. But just come down here, kind of find a place to push out. You can hear the other guy snap out and then that guy. See, this is completely free. Now, with my truck, I have all the buttons up here. So there's 3 plugs, 1 for each of these. And then there's 2 plugs for everything else down here. All right, so on the back of here, you don't have to worry too much about these. As long as they're color coded, you see this has green tape on it, goes to green. Then you have black, black, and then the white goes to the gray. And then you just have these 2 plugs right here. Next up, what we're gonna do is we're going to remove our old screen and the DVD drive. So with these wires, I just tuck them out of the way for now, so they're out of the way. And all of these screws are the exact same size. The only thing you might want to do different is to get a longer extension to get back on these, on the screen ones, but it's not too difficult. All right, once you got the 6 screws out, to hold that in, you basically pull it back, and then you can see there are 3 plugs in the back here. I think some form of antenna or whatever, and then 2 other plugs. So you got this one, you just push in right here, and then it'll pop up. You might need a small screwdriver. See, that pops up, and then you can pull that guy out. This one you just squeeze and pull, and this one I believe you squeeze and pull too. Just like that. So then you can set your old screen aside. So earlier I mentioned that there's 2 different types of screws. The other ones are right here. They are just silver, same size, but just silver. So keep in mind where those go because you will reuse them. All right, once you get those removed, your DVD drive should slide out just gently so you don't hurt any cords. And there are 4 cords on the back of that, pretty similar to what we took out of the screen side. And there is your DVD drive. Now we have, I think, 3 things left to take off. So it's this bottom part, and then these 2 big side parts. So the vents and the switches and everything will come with it. So what you can do now is remove the 2 screws down here, same as all the other black ones. Once you have that off, what you're gonna do is just grab somewhere into here, give it a little tug. It's not too difficult. Kind of try to grab onto both sides as you pull down. And then all the way down to there, that'll come out. And then you have 1 plug on the back for your 4-wheel drive switch. I'll just unplug that. This whole guy will come out. All right, first things first, we're gonna transfer over these 3 buttons and then take out this blank one. And then we are going to install the new vents that came with it, the audio controls, the 12-volt plug-in, and also the 4-wheel drive here. And then this whole panel will be ready to install. So to do that, these guys just have little tabs in the back, 1 on each side. You squeeze those in, might need a screwdriver. Just squeeze them and they should pop right out, and just make sure you keep the right orientation so when you put them back in there, it matches up with how your truck was before. And with these vents here, there's no additional hardware needed. They just snap right into place. You just want to make sure everything's lined up before you push. All the tabs are in the correct spot. You just push down, and it's snug in there. And the same on the other side. Got that snapped in. Now what I'm gonna do is get the 4-wheel drive switch and the 12-volt switch. And both of these reside in the panels that we took off. And they are pretty simple, no hardware. This one has, it's just a little difficult, but you got these tabs and they go all the way around the side. You kind of got to try to squeeze multiple ones at once, but it'll eventually come out. All right, so I got them all squeezed and it just pops right out and it'll click right into the new panel. And then lastly, we'll get the 4-wheel drive switch out, which is pretty simple. There's just a couple little tabs around there, 3 tabs it looks like. Squeeze those in and it'll pop right out. And snap right back into the new one. Now with your audio controls, all you're gonna need to do is first snap it into place. There's 2 tabs in the bottom that line up with this, and then 2 locator pins. Make sure everything's lined up there. Snap right into place, and then you will take your little screws that came in your miscellaneous screw drawer thing over there and just install them right into there. And then that is everything for here. You can see your new audio controls in there. Everything works nice and firm. And we will move on to the next part. Next up, we're going to come over to this screen and we're going to mount the Sync4 computer right up to this. Now to do that, you just use the hardware that it came with. And you're going to set that down on something soft so you don't hurt the screen. And then on the back of here, you have 3 holes. And you'll just line it up with the 3 holes on the steel bracket here. And to do it, you just go on this side and then run your bolts through with the nuts and everything. And then if you're doing the same thing that I'm doing, you'll pull out this coin tray, take your backup switch that has been clearanced. You can go test fit this piece in there, clearance this, and then it will pop right into there without any modification to your truck itself. Then you got your trailer backup knob that really doesn't do anything other than just being there for looks. And then right here, you have your trailer brake controller that you will pull out of your truck and it will go through this panel. Now what we're doing is installing these lower panels. It's pretty simple. This side doesn't have anything on it, so you don't have to worry about plugs, but just lining up the plastic clips. Then you can pull out your trailer brake, and it's just a couple tabs right there, there, and there. You're just going to kind of try to press those in, I think through these holes, and then it'll pop right out. And then you'll be able to fit this panel in. Once you get that in, pull your trailer brake control back through, push that guy in, and then you can press that into there. Next up, what we're going to do is put on this lower panel here, and then it'll use 2 screws through there. You can see you have your 3 push pins here. That goes into the old existing spot. And then these screw holes just go right into that. Everything lines up and it drops your push pins down about 1 inch. Make sure all your harnesses stay out of the way. Pops right into place. And you're going to take 2 of your black screws and put them right into there. Now I have all of these free, and we're going to run them in specific pockets and everything, and that'll all become obvious once everything's plugged in. You may need to unplug stuff and plug it back in to reroute it, but you should be able to get a pretty clean install on it. All right, so the first thing we're going to plug in here is you have the back of the HVAC controls. Now you use 2 of these plugs, so all you're going to want to do is go onto your harness side here and find the exact 2 plugs that line up with those. You can see right here, this is the HVAC control harness here, and you will use these 2 plugs right here, and they will just plug right into the back of this guy. Click right into place, just like factory. Now you have your 2 new plugs right here that will plug right into the old HVAC controls. Now this is one of those times when you're gonna have to remember to reroute some cords. So these 2 right here are your HVAC controls. All you want to do is push them down into this pocket, because that is where your HVAC is now going to reside. And then you can just plug it right into these 2 plugs right here. So you're going to want to pull out all of your plugs. Make sure you have everything here. So your old radio, antennas, other part of your radio, and then your DVD controls down here. And then it'll also adapt over to your audio controls with this plug right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the screen and the computer, and we will plug the harness into those, and then we can start plugging it into all of this and get everything bolted in there. This is your DVD drive. You do reuse it, and it goes right onto here. This is a T10 Torx bits, or Torx screws that I took out, and it used to be down here. These 2 were down here, and these holes up here aren't threaded, but the screw goes right into it, and basically threads its own holes. You go in, super easy to turn, and all of those bolt onto there, and then you will reuse the plugs down there that you unplugged from it earlier. A couple of them go off the harness, but then there's also the 2 antenna ones on the back right here that you will reuse. And then also this trim piece down here, that guy down there, take that off because this bracket right here goes behind it. How we can put this lower trim back on now that this little bracket's behind you, that just basically holds it a little bit, I think. Adds a little rigidity to the outlet that's there. And we are going to put in our HVAC controls now. They're pretty simple. You just plug in those wires that you undid earlier and then slide it right in. You are going to take these plugs, you're going to push the excess back on top of that computer there to get just a little more leeway here to put everything back where it needs to be. To get to that point, you should be able to just finagle it right in here. See, everything's lined up now. Now everything is tied together in the bottom. Put 2 bolts here, 2 bolts there, and this whole bottom part will be done. For these 4 holes, all I did was use the bigger Phillips screw that came with it. This one right here, that came with the kit. And all we have left is to put this outside plate on and put the top back on. So let's get to it. Once you have that bezel in, and you just have this little trim piece on the back, and that will fill in that gap. We're going to put in this tray again, and then we will put those 2 screws in and snap in that speaker cover. All right, you guys, here's the final product installed. And if you look into the back here where we were just finishing up, you can see the filler plate right here that I was talking about. Now, basically, all this does is it covers the wires, the back of the switches on the front, and it joins the dash down into your existing dash without completely swapping the whole dash. This is kind of the best way to do it because this radio is now about 1 inch higher than what was there before. So this just takes that and brings it down into there really nicely through there. You can see it fits all the way around. And then you come into here, turn on the key, see it lights right up just like it should. Fires right up. Coming down into here, all the HVAC controls work as they should. So you turn that, turns everything on there. Fan speed, everything's controlled through there like it should. And then coming over, turn that off so I don't have to listen to that. Audio controls all work. This new kit has a wireless CarPlay, which is really nice since our trucks did not come with that. And I don't have it on right now because I learned the hard way that it kills the microphone to your phone. And that's what I'm using to record. So I've made about 5 clips now that were nothing but silence. You see it coming over here now. It's playing the radio. That's not a station. Come into here. You have navigation. You can see it does not lag really at all. It's really fast since it's just regular Ford software there. You can connect your phone to it like normal. You can download apps from the internet, I think, from your phone to here. I haven't tried it. Over to settings, you just have normal, whatever. You can change this over here and do navigation on there along with the radio on one screen, whatever you want. All these buttons up here work like they should, and that's simply because they are just plugged in like they were before. They don't have any other harnesses going into anything else. It's just the factory harnesses. Same with the 4-wheel drive, trailer brake, and the outlets. That's all the regular plugs that came with your truck. So it's not much of a problem anymore. Now, coming over and talking about a couple of the things that were with this kit. So when I first plugged it in, the airbag light turned on. Now that is because before there was a passenger airbag light indicator down here, and that's just saying when it was on or off. And the problem with that is that little thing was built into the old HVAC controls. It was all one kind of chunk of audio control, HVAC, and then that passenger indicator. So there was no way to re-include that in here. So what they did was they remotely connected to my truck using an OBD2 port to USB plug, and then they just went into there and they turned off the indicator lights. The truck no longer thinks it has the indicator, and then everything there worked as it should. Now, talking about a few logistics of this kit. Now, coming down in here into the HVAC and audio controls, a lot of these parts, or probably about half, a little under half these parts for this kit are OEM. So they have to source these parts. So it does take a little bit of time. Especially for ones like this where they have all the features, because we have the digital readout here of the temperature, heated steering wheel, heated seats, cooled seats, all of that. They have to source these parts, and the trucks that these came from are not very old, so they take a little bit of time to source, along with the screen and the bracket behind the screen. All of that takes just a little bit of time to source, so be willing to wait just a little bit for these parts. As you can see, the fit and finish is pretty dang good. Everything there works good. You see the heated steering wheel up there. It's turned on from here, along with the heated seats. All that works. Yeah, turn that on and off. These buttons work too. Come over into here. See, airbag light's gone. There's no lights on the dash. So everything works as it should. So if you guys enjoyed this, consider subscribing. And if you like it, consider checking it out on their website. And I will catch you guys in the next one.